Would you like to improve your child's storytelling with a fun and fast-paced game? Story cubes are extremely versatile and are great for improving your child's storytelling and story creation skills. Story cubes can be used as a fun game or as a learning tool. In this video, I'll explain how to play the game of story cubes. I'll also explain what the game can teach your child. Then I'll open up the box and tell you what's inside. Then I'll tell you all the ways that you can adapt story dice to use them as a game or as a learning tool for children of different ages. Hi, I'm Mr. Charles and I've been teaching English and in particular spoken fluency for around 10 years. On my channel, Mr. Charles' Classroom, I'll give you lots of tips and strategies that you can use to help your child become more fluent at English. These are story dice. Story dice are simply dice with pictures on each side. The idea is that players take one or more of the pictures and make stories from them. It's really that simple. Story dice can be adapted for children of all ages from around 2 years old. If used correctly, they can be a great way to get children to make varied and interesting stories and can help children to start or complete stories too. They can be used as a story creating tool or as a game. The most simple way to play the game is that each player in turn picks up all the dice, rolls them on the table, and then tries to make a story that connects all the pictures that are face up on the table. So here's what the game teaches. Well, the first and most important thing, of course, is that it teaches creativity. If players have to make stories from each of the pictures that are in front of them, it forces them to be creative and to think about how those pictures can be adapted and linked. The second key point that it teaches is about rules. Of course, every game has different rules. Story dice has one set of rules, but it can be adapted in many ways. So therefore, it can teach children to understand rules that are being told to them, and it can teach them how to adapt and think of their own rules, which are suitable for the players that they are playing with. And the third key thing that story dice give is that when children have been playing for a while, they get a bank of lots of interesting story parts and ideas that they can weave into their creative writing and drama scripting in future. There are many different types of story dice, and today we're going to be looking at Rory's story cubes. They have a few different versions, and we have original and voyages. So let's look inside the box. I really love the box design on Rory's story cubes. It opens up like this and it has two magnets, so when you close it, it just stays shut. So when we open it up, we see that there's a plastic holder that's holding the dice in place. When you take out the two little bits of plastic on the side, you can turn this around so that every time you open this box, the dice can just come out very easily. Let me show you. So here we have one with the plastic turned over. So all I have to do is open the box and then tip out the dice in my hand and we're ready to go. When I'm finished playing, I just put them back in like this, and as you can see, they drop in very easily, and then you can close the box. So let's play a game. So the simplest way, as I mentioned earlier, is to get all the dice in your hand, pick them up a bit, and put them on the table like that. Now you have to make a story that links all the pictures together. So let me try. So Alan the alien was walking home one day, and he wasn't sure where he was going. So he saw an apple and he decided, oh, that looks nice, I'll eat it. But the apple was a magnetic apple. So he suddenly got lost and he decided he would try to go to the North Pole. Because he had a magnet, he could easily walk to the North Pole. On the way, he found a pyramid and he said, oh, that's strange. I think I was supposed to have built the pyramids a long time ago. Then he met someone and he said, hi, is this a pyramid? Are we at the North Pole yet? And the person says, no, you need to look more carefully, or maybe you can check in a book. Another easy way to play is that each player takes 2 or 3 dice at a time. So we pick them up, we shake them, put them down, and then I can pick 2, for example, an aeroplane and a lock. Today I went on an aeroplane to try and unlock my door. And then the next person shakes them and picks up 2 dice and they go. And you can increase the number of dice to increase the difficulty. And another variation is that somebody randomly picks up one of the dice and they have to use each picture on the dice. So here I've got my alien, a walking stick, an arrow, a phone, some weighing scales, and a lightning bolt. So somebody picks up one dice and they have to make a story that strings all of the pictures on the dice together. And then the next person picks up a new dice and it's their go. An interesting thing to note is that some of the pictures on the dice are easier. So obviously the pictures of animals and faces are quite easy to use, but some of them are quite difficult. For example, weighing scales or an arrow, or maybe even, I find the world is easy, but maybe a torch is difficult to use. So the difficulty and easiness of the dice pictures adds layers of variation to the stories. Roll the dice on the table and the children take it in turns to say the story. So we roll the dice, so child 1 says, "One day the bee was flying." Then the next child picks another picture, for example the eye, and then he saw something in front of him. And then the third child comes along and says, "Oh, it was Shane the sheep walking along." And they keep going so on, and this can be played with 2 or 3 or 4 students, and they can keep making the story until they finish the dice. Or they can keep recycling the dice to make a longer and longer story. For older children, you want to make it more difficult. So maybe put a timer to give them a set time to think of what they're going to say. Or maybe don't give them any time at all. They just have to say exactly what comes into their head straight away. So story dice can be great for helping to teach English too, especially for older children. One thing you can do is to insist that they tell their story in a particular tense, for example, present tense or past tense or future tense. So they pick the dice and they have to link the story together, but they have to stay in one tense only. As a teacher, I often find that children get stuck sometimes when they're thinking of stories. Maybe they get stuck at the beginning or how to continue a story, or get stuck on how to finish a story. In that time, I always have my dice with me, and I might give them 1 or 2 dice just to help them fire their imagination so that they can continue writing their story. Story dice are also going to be great for drama activities. Children can use them to help with improvisational pieces. Also, they can play a game. They can mime what they see on the picture. So they get a dice, they look at it. So I'm looking at an apple, then I might mime eating an apple, and the other children have to guess what the picture is. I have only touched the surface on the types of activities and games that you can play with story dice. They really are that versatile. Anytime you need to be creative or need to think of something, story dice can help. I would love to know how you get on when you play with story dice. What ideas do you think of? What variations on the game can you make? And what stories could you think of? Also, if you have any fun and interesting games that you would like me to talk about and to give ideas about, then let us know in the comments. See you next time!